The things I can do, I've worked on major music festivals such as the Big Day Out in Homebake, which is Australia's largest Australian-only music festival in Sydney. I've been working with youth since I was 16 on the Orange Rock Up committee. I was the very first vice captain of my high school, and I've been involved in leadership roles since I was about 16. That all spawned from when I was about 14. I was diagnosed with a disorder called Friedreich's ataxia, which is a degenerative nerve disorder. And the Friedreich's ataxia is unique because it attacks not only the central nervous system, but the skeletal nervous system as well. So it morphs my bones, not only my nerves. And from there, when I was diagnosed, I plummeted into a pretty deep depression, and it went on for a while, and it got really bad at one stage, and I ended up finding my outlet, which was music. I pretty much picked myself up from the point where I couldn't even get myself out of bed almost every day, to the point where I was one of the biggest figureheads in the music industry in this area. From a personal point of view, bigger name bands from Australia to come and play for the Youth Orange. Things like the Street Party, I want to see that come back and happen. Things that just involve the youth. Not so much all music, which is my background, but activities like laser tag, things like that, and especially since Piccadilly has closed down, which was the arcade, things for them to do, like the youth centre, things like that, study areas for HSC students, and once the library closes every day, they have nowhere to go, and they have nowhere to study outside of home. From personal experience, home is the biggest distraction when you're trying to study. When it was first proposed that the Youth Council was going ahead, we got a lot of negative feedback, mostly from older grown-ups, mostly from people that just didn't want it coming around, and we couldn't see the negative issue with it, and thankfully council couldn't see the negative issue with it as well. A lot of people believe that all we're doing is it's a media hype thing, and we're going to do nothing. It's just there to look good on the council's resume, as you might call it. But the thing is, where the youth council isn't just something there that's supposed to sit there and look pretty. We actually are being asked our opinions on important issues like the water issue in Orange, the pipeline, the roads, accommodation, things that are important to the city as a whole. But on the other end of it, we are being asked things like what's important to the youth, and what's important to the youth at the moment is things like the youth centre, things like things to do. We have the skate park, and we have plenty of parks like Robertson Park and Cook Park, but youth are known for not getting bored, but getting complacent with what they have. So what we're looking to do is give them things that are not necessarily permanent things, like more activities to do, and things like that, so that they don't get complacent with everything they're doing, and they enjoy everything that we give them, instead of permanent structures. Unlike, the youth centre will be a permanent structure, but it will constantly evolve and have different things involved in it, so that no one gets sick of it. As far as I'm concerned, I would love to see things like a youth cafe involved. We had something similar to that in Piccadilly, which was in the main street, and they had an internet cafe, but I'm more thinking something where you can go and get a soft drink or a coffee with your friends for the older kids. Something with the internet bays so that the kids can go and study. Quiet areas so that the kids can go and study. And on the other side of it, on my personal side of it, I want to see a hall like a hall with a bit bigger than the CWA hall and a bit smaller than the function centre, that can fit 300-400 people at the max, and not only to be used for music events and music gigs, but to be used for things like at the moment there are several martial arts groups in Orange that only have the option to train in parks, and there is nowhere for them to go at the moment. What the youth centre will involve will have involved is bringing all of them into the youth centre and having a place that they can call home as well, and not only that, but a place that all youths in this area can call home.
John, what would you say this young junior mayor has got to watch out for most of all in his term in office?
Look, I think the best advice I could say is to make sure that he keeps his ideas totally his. You know, you can listen to the advice of many people from their experiences and from different sides, but you should sort of have confidence in your own ability. And it's quite surprising, I've found that the first decision or the first idea that you come up with is usually the best. You can have compromise, but a lot of times compromise basically waters down a damn good idea into something that really is unworkable. So, you know, when you've got an idea, you sort of get an idea of other people within the community to get their views and different ways to implement that decision. But yeah, don't be intimidated by different groups. You can listen to their concerns, you can adjust something or modify it, but make sure you keep your eye on the ball in regards to if you'd like to go some particular way, make sure you go that way. No, well, not really, because the council, in actual fact, the council staff, and as I said, through Councillor Ross's department and Karen Boyd from the staff, for example, and the young people, they've come out and sort of said that this was where we'd like to go. Now, I'm not saying that Mayor+tom would sort of come along and say, well, I want to have, for example, a new ski slope, for example, in Robertson Park, that's going to happen, far from it. But I can see that, for example, if there was cases for upgrading or better, say, footpaths, for example, in different areas, in regards to even for younger and older people, for better services, public services in regards to whether it be bus routes or whatever. But there'd also be things that entertainment for young people. I mean, the fact is you're heavily involved, and Tom's been heavily involved in regards to entertainment and other like things within the community over the last number of years. I can see there could be advantages for that. I think you'll find that probably Tom's greatest achievements will be looking at it from his side, from a younger person, and it'll be probably things that we older people are doing anyway, and just sort of saying, well, could we slightly modify it? And I think that's where it's going to come. The community at large are a silent majority, and that is what I find is challenging. They leave it to the council and councillors, and a lot of the time they support you. That's the council, the current council, but you don't hear from them. So this is an opportunity for younger people to be able to come through Tom and his council to put up ideas that we might be able to put into action.